morning and welcome to the fourth hour. It is really great to have you along. Hope you had a terrific weekend. Katie and I went to a wedding over the weekend, so we left Saturday and spent the night down in Nebraska. Came back yesterday, so it was a fairly short weekend, but a lot of fun. I just really had a great time visiting with some of Katie's family. So hope you had similarly a restful weekend. It's great to be back with you today. There are some stories that are already popping today. Pretty incredible that I want to share with you. Let's start with this one at the New York Post. Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski met with Donald Trump over the weekend. This is pretty incredible. Take a look at that. I want to increase the size of this just a little bit, make it a little bit easier to read. So these are the hosts of Morning Joe. They had a personal sit down with Donald Trump in Florida to restart communications. And listen to them. This is the first time this has sounded like they are even somewhat reasonable. Brzezinski said, 5 years of political warfare has deeply divided Washington and the country. We have been as clear as we know how in expressing our deep concerns about President Trump's actions and words in the coarsening of public debate. And then she says, but for nearly 80 million Americans, election denialism, public trials, January 6th were not as important as the issues that moved them to send Donald Trump back to the White House with their vote. Joe and I realize it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him, she says. So then Scarborough said they talked about issues including abortion, mass deportation. How often did you and I talk about abortion on my show? How often did we talk about that on the Greg Belfrage show? Much, if at all. I mean, I think we touched on it because it was a statewide issue. It was on the South Dakota ballot. But pretty incredible. So they visited with Trump. And again, in this conversation, Scarborough was saying, we talked about abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents and media outlets. Now, I'm going to give you Donald Trump's perspective here in a moment. New York Post and Fox News are owned by the same company. So Donald Trump is also reacting to this, kind of sharing his side of the story. So I'll share that in just a moment. This is what Scarborough said they talked about it. We talked about that a good bit. It will come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so. What we did agree on was to restart communications. So, Morning Joe and is restarting now communications with Donald Trump, which is pretty incredible. And so what's Trump's reaction and his point of view on this? He told Fox News that today, this is a story today, that it is vital to have a free, fair, and open media, he said. He feels he has an obligation to us to work with the press, even those who have treated him badly beyond comprehension. Because the question has been, well, are you still going to do interviews with CNN or CBS or MSNBC, all of these media outlets who have not treated you well, who have been unfair, who have been incredibly one-sided? And so Trump says, yeah. He said he's in the process of transforming America into the greatest and the most powerful country in the world. I would love to believe that. The problem is we do not have the greatest people currently in the country. Many Americans are just lost. I mean, that's what concerns me. That he's got his he's got his sight set a lot higher than some Americans are able actually to see. Do you understand what it is I'm saying? That I'm concerned that it's, you and me and those who are unplugged and don't pay attention, and that I think that's part of my concern. But Trump is right about this. But he was talking about his relationship with the media. And he said, in order to make America great again, it is very important, if not vital, to have a free, fair, and open media or press. Problem is, they're not fair. That's the issue. So he met with Scarborough and Brzezinski of Morning Joe. So what was Trump's reaction? He said, I received a call from Joe Scarborough requesting a meeting for him and Mika. And I agree that would be a good thing that, they have such a meeting. He said, so they met Friday morning at Mar-a-Lago, and he said the meeting was extremely cordial. Here's the thing. You and I can disagree, but we can still treat each other with respect, right? And I think one of the problems the Democratic Party has is they just treating everybody with disrespect, and it's, but you and I can disagree. We can be or we can be respectful of each other, even if we disagree. I've said that a number of times on the program. So it's good to see Donald Trump working through this. So he said many things were discussed, and I very much appreciated the fact that they wanted to have open communication. In many ways, it's too bad that it wasn't done long ago. I would agree. But again, I think this election is rattling a number of cages. And the numbers with which Donald Trump won, it's really, I mean, if it woke up Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough, it should. Perhaps it's waking up a number of others as well. So Trump said they congratulated me on running a great and flawless campaign, one for the history books, which I believe it was. But it was also a campaign where I worked long and hard, perhaps longer and harder than any presidential candidate in history. He did. I was just, he was a machine. And I said that on the air a number of times. The guy is just, man, this guy is unstoppable. So they talked about cabinet members, cabinet positions. He said, I expect this will take place with others in the media, even those that have been extremely hostile. Maybe ABC should start. So Trump says he feels he has an obligation to the American public and to the country itself to be open and available to the press. Now, what a difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Absolutely incredible. But he said, if not treated fairly, however, that will end. The media is very important to the long-term success of the United States of America. So if they don't keep treating him fairly, then he says it's going to, it'll come to an end. We'll see how it goes. Let's see what some of you are saying. I always appreciate your comments very much. And feel free to chime in, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Love hearing from you, just like I do when I'm on the air in the morning. Sean said, state media is doing so much CYA. Their reputation continues to swirl down the toilet. And I don't think it's all that. I think they understand. I mean, you would have to be incredibly thick not to look at Donald Trump's election and say, and recognize, wow, man, Did we read the tea leaves wrong? I don't assume that everybody in the media is just absolutely stupid as hell, cannot learn. Um, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're learning. Not that they're going to change their opinion, but at least they're learning. They want to open a communication with Donald Trump. That's a step in the right direction. There is nothing wrong with having conversations publicly, folks saying, asking questions and in disagreement and saying, yeah, well, what about this? And nothing bad comes from that. What has been bad is just the constant, lack of facts, information, and then taking a very strong position and trying to, MSNBC also is in trouble. Their ratings after the election have fallen by 50%. So if they want to continue, they realize they have got to change the way they do business. I mean, I just think it's incredibly clear to me. Well, that's been clear to me, I think, for a long time. But all right, Kathy also said, I think those two are just trying to maintain some element of relevancy so that they still have jobs. I give them a little bit more than that. I think again, MSNBC is clearly their viewership is way down, but I don't think it's all about that. And I think it's a mistake also to concentrate solely on MSNBC and Mika and Joe. What about the comments I just shared from Trump? Trump saying, hey, I want to be open and I want to have these conversations. So Trump was open to it. See, this says a lot about Donald Trump, that he was willing. Wasn't just immediately dismissive. How many of us would have just said, well, the hell with you. I don't like you guys. I don't care. I have no interest in you. How many people would have responded that way? See, this is why I think it's just better to cool things down. Take a step back, take a little bit of a broader look and say, okay, now, do I believe that Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough have changed colors overnight? Well, of course not. No, man, they got their own, no more than you or I would change our colors overnight, right? So I don't expect that to happen, but at least they're opening a dialogue with Trump and having a conversation, and the first of many. And I mean, how do you, there will be those shows that will not have that approach. There will be those shows that will not change at all. I mean, take a look at what happened. Now, again, some of this is self-preservation, and I understand that. Same thing on The View. I shared this story with you last week about what's going on in The View and the fact that they're looking for Trump voices to be on The View. Because The View as it is, I mean, there is absolutely no way in hell that I would be watching The View. Now, I'm not the target either, but they are they in the midst of that? Let's assume, because I'm thinking this through a little bit based on your comments, and which is why I appreciate your comments so much. Okay, let's assume that they're doing it purely for selfish reasons. Okay, purely for selfish reasons. This is why they're doing those things. This is why Mika and Joe want to talk to Trump and have, start dialogue with Trump. And The View now is looking for Trump like, MAGA people to be on The View. Even if they never believe any of it, if it's all for show, what happens over time? What happens over the course of time? Do you begin to see these programs and these networks and these talking heads? Do you begin to see change? Do you see what I'm saying? Because it would, how are you not affected over a period of time? Well, I mean, you have to be extremely thick headed that I am what I am and I'm not going to change and I'm not going to listen. And this is what I think. And I'm the hell with everybody. Generally, that's not how most people are. There are those who are that way, but generally, that's not how most people are. What changes would result in that over a period of time? I mean, I don't know, but there'll be changes. I mean, I think it would be absurd to say there will be no change. That Joe and Mika, okay, again, what their motives are for doing it now, I don't know what their personal motives are as to why they're doing it. I'm not speaking to that at all. I'm just speaking to what they're saying. But they start listening to Trump, start having, here's one of the things about Trump is I think the guy is just incredibly lovable. I mean, now that's me. I just think the guy's incredibly likable. There is so much about him to like. And he goes in, even when he goes into the worst. I mean, I watched him when he was president doing those news conferences, these 2-hour news conferences, and the media was on him and man, and nothing. It never fazed him. And it's just absolutely incredible. How, if you have folks that begin down that path, how would they not be affected by it? Most of us would be. You would be. Now we're having a conversation, and now you're building not only a professional relationship, but maybe even a little bit of a personal relationship. As I think that could be incredibly powerful. So kudos to Donald Trump for saying, that he is he's going to be out there and visiting with these. Tyler, you got a great point. Tyler said, with a population of 330 million people in the U.S., some of these TV programs only have 1 million or fewer viewers. How long can they survive? I have asked that question, especially about MSNBC. Joy Reid? How in the hell does Joy Reid survive on MSNBC? Who is watching Joy Reid? And by angry, every time she makes headlines, she's angry. She's angry. She's nasty. Nasty as hell. Who does that appeal to? Other nasty, angry people. I mean, is that who you want to be? It's not who Donald Trump is. It's not who I am. I certainly try not to be that way. It's pretty incredible. Yeah, this is interesting. Denise said Trump back before the media daily will help transparently. Absolutely agree with that. And Wanda, I think you're right too. It will be an uphill battle. Yeah, absolutely it will be. It will be an uphill battle, but where do even the longest journeys start with what? A single step. You got to start taking those first steps. So it's really easy to, that's the effect of social media on our culture, is that immediately I'm not one for that. It's one of the reasons why you even hear me say on the air sometimes, I got to reflect on this story before we talk about it. Because maybe I might have an immediate, I'm not saying I don't do that. I'm not saying, that I'm somehow above everybody else, but there are those people that are just immediately dismissive of everything. Settle down. Won the election, right? We won the election so we can be patient and we can give folks a chance to change. Whether it's Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough, or The View, or let's give folks a chance to change. They are. I'm still seeing the stories. Democrats are like, they don't know what way is up. Man, they just feel like they just got hit by an asteroid, man. It's what happened. They don't know where to go. You and I can be gracious, right? We can be patient. We can give them a little bit of time and you know, then in 6 months from now, if they're still stupid, then then we'll go after. But you understand what I mean. If Donald Trump can go on these shows and put up with the abuse that this guy has faced, well, you and I can certainly be patient while this thing kind of unfolds. So at least that's what I'm thinking here this morning. Speaking of Donald Trump, wanted to share this. He shared this on True Social early this morning, that his incoming administration will declare a national emergency and will use military resources to implement the mass deportation of illegals. And so, and I saw this earlier this morning because Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch said reports are incoming that the Trump administration prepared to declare a national emergency, so on mass deportation. And Trump quoted the Post and said, true. So that's pretty wild. I'm trying to see if there's anything else new in this story. I don't think there is. You know, Tom Homan, I just think that guy is also a machine. These are the kind of people you want in this Trump administration. Tom Homan, as the border czar, will just be absolutely incredible. So Homan stressed he would prioritize deporting illegal immigrants who were already told to leave and have defied those orders. So if folks have been told by a judge that you've got to leave the country and they have defied those orders, those folks are going to be the priority. So again, not out, but I've been in the country for 30 years and I've been law-abiding citizen. You know, those are not the folks that Tom Homan is going to be going after first. You know, this is going to be, I think, an incredibly long process. So you've got to stop somewhere. Denise saying she just watched an interview with Tom on Tommy Lahren. Yeah, see, I think he's impressive too. Denise, I have the same kind of reaction to Tom Homan. I mean, it's everything I've seen with him, every interview, and I've watched some of them. The guy is just absolutely fascinating. And then I talked about this on the air this morning, and I'll close with this today. Vivek Ramaswamy was talking to Maria Bartiromo on Sunday Morning Futures yesterday and talking about the Department of Government Efficiency. And this is too long to share all of it, but I do want to share a part of it as he's talking about where does the Department of Government Efficiency start?
Right, from the beginning.
So first is we want to go right in through executive action to do the failures of the executive branch that need to be addressed. Because the dirty little secret right now, Maria, is the people we elect to run the government, they're not the ones who actually run the government. It's the unelected bureaucrats in the administrative state. That was created through executive action. It's going to be fixed through executive action. Think about the Supreme Court's environment over the last several years. They've held that many of those regulations are unconstitutional at a large scale. Rescind those regulations, pull those regs back, and then that gives us the industrial logic to then downsize the size of that administrative state. And the beauty of all of this is that can be achieved just through executive action without Congress. Score some early wins, and then you look at those bigger portions of the federal budget that need to be addressed one by one. So I think that's one way to think about this is how can the president of the United States, who's been elected with a historic mandate, actually do the thing that the voters have voted for? They haven't voted for incremental change here this time, Maria. We have voted for sweeping change. and the voters actually deserve to get it. And we're focused on how to do that as early and as quickly as possible.
So
See, I get all
President-elect
giddy
Trump
as
just
I
said
hear
on that
this.
soundbite that you're going to make recommendations. So you're going to make recommendations in
So how
terms of where
quickly?
to cut after all that you've just said. Then what?
Look, we're not going to be cutting ribbons. We're going to be cutting costs. And so those recommendations are going to be on a real-time basis. But I do want to take a big step back and understand, for people to understand the scope of this problem. Over $500 billion that's spent every year right now was not even authorized by Congress in the first place. The Pentagon has just failed its 7th consecutive audit, nearly $1 trillion of budget. They can't even tell you where it goes. So I think part of this is exposing for the public the extent of that rot and waste, but then to take steps first through executive action and then laying the groundwork for broader change.
He goes on. I'm going to stop that there because it's a great piece. Again, you can find this at on Fox News YouTube page. Fox News has it on their YouTube page, and so I don't want to get that's their material. You'll find it there, and I don't want to get too sideways with YouTube there. Pretty incredible, though. I'm really, really excited about this, the Department of Government Efficiency and what they're going to do and the amount of waste. And so, as I'm listening to Vivek Ramaswamy talk about this, it starts sounding like, $2 trillion doesn't sound that ridiculous, because that's what Elon Musk had said, that he thought $2 trillion right off the bat. They thought they could cut $2 trillion in waste. And then Ramaswamy went on to say that this, what they're trying to do is put a system in place that will last for the next 250 years. I mean, wow. I mean, much like our Constitution has endured, they want to put now practices in place similar that will also endure. Now, whether or not that's going to happen remains to be seen, obviously, but it's pretty exciting. David says he liked my William Shatner story this morning, or excuse me, wrong. New comment came in just as I was clicking. So thank you, David. I appreciated that. The photo of William Shatner and I, by the way, so I have right here. Got the, and so it was just the funniest story Katie shares, that she shows that photo to, I took a picture of the photo and then, emailed it or texted it to Katie so she could see it. And so Katie shows it at work to somebody, and the person says, "Hey, that's Greg Belfrage." Oh, seriously, that just makes me laugh. And so Renee is her name. I didn't get her last name, but I just want to say thank you to Renee. And, that's the kind of reaction that I get from so many of you. And it's one of the reasons why I say, if you see me somewhere and it's me, please do not be afraid to come up and introduce yourself. I hope you would do that, because I just really appreciate the chance to say thank you and get to know you a little bit and just say thank you for listening, because I do appreciate all of you. I'm not just saying it. I really mean that. And it's one of the reasons, as we were talking last week, with my 20th anniversary of the morning show coming up in May of next year, and we're looking forward to putting some kind of event together involving you and me. I'm really excited about it because I want to meet all of you, and not that I can, be seen or, you know what I mean? What I'm excited about is the chance to meet some of you. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. Hoping we can get something put together, but if and when we do, there'll be a lot more details forthcoming. So we'll leave it there for today. Thank you so much for making the Greg Belfrage Show a part of your day. If you would hit the like button, I would be in your gratitude. And I'll see you again next time. You take care. So long until tomorrow, my friends. See you again soon.